Hello, Geoff. Thanks for joining us. So what is Infinera announcing today?
So today we're announcing a technology that we call the Infinite Capacity Engine, which is a combination of advanced electronics and our unique photonic integrated circuits.
Okay, infinite capacity. Those are, it's a big couple of words. What does that actually mean?
Yeah, it's a good point. In effect, it's an evolution of a technology that started probably back in the year 2000, when we started developing photonic integrated circuits. But this is the latest iteration where we take a quantum leap from the 500 gigabit per second range up into the multiple terabits, so 1.2 terabit, 2.4 terabits, and then beyond that.
That sounds really good. What's in it for the network operators, for your customers?
I suppose one of the biggest challenges for a network operator today is operational scalability. So if you think about how busy an engineer would get provisioning the bandwidth that they have to deal with today, then 40% compound annual growth for 5 years, that's a 5 times increase in demand. What are they going to do? Hire 5 times the number of engineers? Probably not. I haven't seen that in anyone's business plan. So what we need to do as an industry is deliver more capacity per engineer. So we've been doing that from 100 gig to 500 gig with our existing products. The Infinite Capacity Engine is really saying how we do that beyond the terabit range to keep that engineer becoming more and more productive. So that's the first thing, the operational scalability. But then you have to look at all the other things it delivers. Line level encryption, dramatic reduction in the power consumption, much smaller form factor. So all of the things that operators are looking at to drive down their total cost of ownership, the Infinite Capacity Engine addresses all of those issues.
So capacity, I don't think anybody, Geoff, would argue that operators are going to need more capacity, more efficient capacity going forward. History's proven that. But is this solution all about capacity, or are there other aspects of it that will attract your customers now if capacity isn't necessarily a problem?
Yeah, I think there are 2 aspects to that. So let's deal with the capacity issue first of all, because 1.2 terabits or 2.4 terabits, that is an enormous amount of bandwidth in one line card. So we faced a similar problem a few years ago when we released 500 gigabit line cards at a time when the competition was talking about 100 gig transponders. And once the first flurry of demand of people who genuinely do need 500 gig, once that's gone, what do you do? So we came up with a solution that we call instant bandwidth, which is where the engineer, that busy engineer that needs to become more and more productive, they install that line card in one operational cycle. It takes them about the same amount of time as if they were putting in a 100 gig transponder. But we can license it in 100 gig slices. So instead of the network operator sending the engineer to install another 100 gig, they just turn on the slice through the network management system. Okay. So that's been around for a couple of years now. And we're really taking it to the next stage with the Infinite Capacity Engine, because we can now do that up to 1.2 terabits into that line card, or 2.4 terabits into that line card. So it's a continuous scalability, and it means it's very, very cash flow efficient for the network operator. So then the next question would be, well, even if you buy it in chunks, it's still a lot of capacity to have between the same 2 locations. So we've introduced this concept of sliceability. So sliceability is where you can take the various wavelengths that are coming out of the Infinite Capacity Engine and send them in different directions. And we do that through flex grid ROADM technology. All of this can be controlled from the Network Operations Center. So you can imagine installing one of these devices on day one, never having to send an engineer for, 1-2 years as demand is continuing to grow. And the other interesting thing is that you can potentially redeploy that capacity. So events like the Super Bowl, classic example, where for a short period of time, wherever the Super Bowl is held, you will need a lot of capacity going in and out of that location. So imagine you turn up an instant bandwidth license to that location, you have the instant bandwidth license in force for the duration of the event, you redeploy it somewhere else once you finish with the requirement. So in many ways, people would say it's impossible to virtualize photons. You can't virtualize something that has to pass along an optical fiber. We've gone about as far as you can go in terms of virtualizing this, because we've made it cash flow efficient, we've made it bandwidth efficient with sliceability. So I think hopefully that would answer your question in terms.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So adding in a lot of flexibility in addition to pure bandwidth.
Yeah.
So while you're not announcing customers now, it's safe to say that some are working with you on it as we speak?
Absolutely. We saw the same pattern, by the way, with our earlier generation of 500 gig line cards. And when those actually did become available, we went from 0 in the 100 gig market to the market leader in 3 months.
Right.
So very often there's a huge pent-up interest for these kinds of products.
Well, great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry.